Okay, class, let's go over the assignments for week one. Here is Blackboard, and if you will just click on week one, we'll go through each of the assignments. There's the objectives there, and here are your reading assignments. So out of the Allison book, chapter one, and out of Richard's Breadfelt, chapter five. Chapter five is really kind of an overview of Bible study methods. And then there are the additional readings. Now, the additional readings are all available for you in this folder, week one resources. So there should be a total of 5 additional readings. So now after you do your reading, and you should do your reading to keep up with your grades and to be able to have an intelligent discussion on the discussion boards. But after you do your reading, you then need to report your reading on week one reading report. Click on it. Here are instructions of how to do it. Just follow the instructions. We'll push continue, and it asks you how much of the following required reading did you complete. So here are all of your readings. You did all, most, half, some, none. Here you have to be honest. You are self-reporting, but look, there's a total of 12 points possible for this. So then when you're done, save and submit, and you are done reporting your reading. So now let's go back to the next thing. There we go. Cancel. Let's cancel that. All right. I get a little warning that I left something undone, but let's ignore that. All right, so there's your reading. Then there's your resources. You already did class introductions when you looked at the introduction video. There is no discussion board during week one, but there is a blog assignment that's very similar to the discussion board, and we'll get to that. Now, to get 1 point, you need to assign yourself to a group. So just click on the groups, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 groups. To assign yourself, you just click view sign up sheet and join a group. When there are 3 people in a group, why don't you move on to the next group and start a new group? There may end up being 4, possibly even 5 in a group, but let's try to fill up each group with at least 3 at the start. So that's how you assign yourself to a group. You'll be doing some group projects together with your group. So then passage selection. You're going to pick a passage that you're going to teach. Now, if you were in interpreting the Bible, you did a lot of work on one of these passages, Deuteronomy 6, Proverbs 3, Matthew 5, or Romans 12. I would go back and use that passage that you've already done a lot of work on. If you haven't taken that class, you'll need to select one of these 4 passages, click on passage selection document, and you submit your selection through this board here. Write submission. Actually, you don't want to do write submission. You want to have saved your paper and then attach it and get it to me. All right. So that's your passage selection. Now you have a paper due by the end of the first week. Why teach the Bible? You can read this, but what I want you to do is think about why teach the Bible. Now, if you were brought up in the church, maybe you've never thought about it. I mean, you know it's important, and you hear sermons, and you go to Bible school, but why are we to teach the Bible? Now, I'm going to give you a little more direction here. This basically tells you use biblical verses to support your position. I'm going to actually give you some passages to write about. There are a total of 8 passages here with some questions. For example, 2 Corinthians 5:20, which says we are ambassadors for Christ. What does the term ambassador imply about the content of what we're to teach? I want you to do a little work on that word. Think about it. Look it up. What does that imply about what we're to teach, how we're to teach? Acts 20:27, 2 Timothy 3:16. For example, what does this passage teach about the unique nature of what we as Bible teachers teach? Now, if you know the passage, you know it says all scripture is God-breathed or inspired. So your answer is not just, well, it teaches that the scriptures are inspired. What does that matter? What does that mean? Okay, James 3, Romans 1, 16, and 1 Corinthians 2. What does the passage teach about the emphasis of our Bible teaching? So take a look at that. Some of these are two verses, but they are focusing on the same thing. Here, Ephesians 4 and 1 Corinthians 12. So follow the instructions on the assignment, but I want you to touch upon each of these verses and answer these questions. All right. So that's your paper assignment, and then the third assignment, passage reflection blog. So here, after you've picked your passage, you're going to read it and reread it and think about it, and then you are simply going to be part of a blog with the people in your group, and you're going to answer 1 to 3 of these questions that are listed here. All right, and then that will be due by Friday night, and then over the weekend you will comment on at least 2 other students' posts, so you will read theirs. Now, the thought here is, rather than you answering these questions for me, the teacher, I want you to think about the scenario where you are teaching a group. Maybe you're leading a small group, or you're teaching a Sunday school class, and this is a blog that they can read. So you are somewhat of a teacher online that has a blog, and you're reflecting on this passage, and you're directing it toward others who you are teaching. So that's kind of the scenario. You write the blog. You can add pictures. I like blogs with pictures and video links and links to other resources. So it's kind of an assignment, a thoughtful assignment. Really what it is, it's a discussion board put into a blog. Now you say, well, where do we go to do this? Well, let's click on your group. Here's your group. And let's say you are in group 1. You would click on group 1. There's the names. You go group blog. And here is where you fill out the blog. See, these folks have put some pictures and some graphics and so forth. So that is due this week also. And the paper is also due this week. So hopefully that gives you a good handle on your assignments this week. Lots of reading. Stay on top of your reading, and I look forward to seeing your work. God bless you. See you next time.